Political Soapbox. I'm the politics editor for the Register, Rachel Stassenberger. And I see lots of signs, so let's wave them high. And from here on out, keep them down. Because people behind, down. Because people behind you can't see if you've got your signs up. Because this is all Iowa nice. Feel free to cheer, but probably don't jeer. That's not very Iowa nice, because you all are here to see a candidate. And that candidate is Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. Thank you, Iowa. Let me begin by thanking the people of Iowa for playing an extraordinary role in transforming politics in America. 4 years ago, I stood right up here and I said that if you work 40 hours a week in America, you should not live in poverty. We've got to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. And workers should find it easier to become members of a union. 4 years ago, that seemed like a wild and crazy idea. Since then, 7 states and the U.S. Congress have passed legislation raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Thank you, Iowa, for helping to lead the way. 4 years ago, I came here and I said, you know what? If we want to be the best educated country on earth, we need to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And that idea was considered wild and extreme. Well, since then, state after state, city after city have done just that. We are going to make public colleges and universities in America tuition free. 4 years ago, I said, sounds to me a little bit crazy that we are punishing young people for the quote-unquote crime of getting a higher education and finding themselves $50,000 or $100,000 in debt. And I said then, and let me say it now more clearly, that in America today, we need to cancel student debt. Now, people say, fairly enough, they say, well, how are you going to pay for all that stuff? Making public colleges and universities tuition-free, canceling student debt. And I will tell you exactly how we will pay for that. We're going to put a tax on Wall Street speculation. 11 years ago, the people of this country had to bail out the crooks on Wall Street. Now it is their time to help the working class of this country. 4 years ago, I came to Iowa and I said, you know, seems to me that we in America should do what every other major country on earth is doing, and that is guaranteeing health care to all people as a human right. Well, guess what? Everybody said that's too radical. American people won't accept it. And yet the people of Iowa understood that there is something wrong when 87 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. Something very wrong when today 30,000 people a year die because they don't have access to health care. Something awful when 500,000 Americans go bankrupt because they cannot afford the incredibly high medical bills that they receive when they get out of the hospital. That something is very wrong when we spend twice as much per capita on health care as do the people of any other country, and yet 1 out of 5 Americans cannot afford the cost of prescription drugs because the pharmaceutical industry rips us off every single day. So I said that 4 years ago, and the people of Iowa said, you know, Bernie, you're right. And since then, what we have seen in poll after poll after poll is the American people want us to move to a Medicare for all single-payer program. And that means no deductibles. That means no co-payments, means no premiums, means no out-of-pocket expenses, means freedom of choice to go to any doctor you want to go to, any hospital you want to go to, and we're going to phase that in over a 4-year period. And what we're also going to do is make sure that our elderly people get the dental care, the hearing aids, and the eyeglasses that they need as well. 4 years ago, I came here to Iowa, and I was asked, what is the major national security issue we face? And people thought I'd say ISIS or Al-Qaeda, and those are big issues. The answer that I gave in terms of national security is climate change. So let me tell you what this campaign is about and what makes it different than any other campaign that's out there. And that is what I know and what you know is that real change never ever takes place from the top on down. The only way in our country that we have ever seen real change, whether it is the labor movement, whether it's the civil rights movement, whether it's the women's movement, whether it's the gay movement, the only way that change ever takes place is when millions of people stand up and say loudly and clearly, enough is enough. So today we are taking on in this campaign. I'm asking you today, yup, I need your help in order for us to win here in Iowa. I need your help to win the Democratic nomination. I need your help to defeat the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. The function of a president is to bring our people together, not divide us up. We should not be having a president, and honestly, it gives me no pleasure to say this, but we cannot maintain a presidency where the president is a racist, where he is a sexist, where he is a homophobe, where he is a xenophobe, where he is a religious bigot. And by the way, in passing, he's also a pathological liar. So what our job is, though, and where I need your help, is we got to win here in Iowa. We got to win the Democratic nomination. But we have got to stand together, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American, gay and straight, immigrant, native born. We have got to stand together around an agenda that works for all of us, not just the 1%. So brothers and sisters, will you stand with me when we take on the greed of Wall Street? Will you stand with me when we tell the pharmaceutical industry that we are going to cut prescription drug prices in this country in half? Will you stand with me when we tell the private insurance industry that the function of health care is to provide quality care to all, not have a health care industry that last year made $100 billion in profit? Will you stand with me to take on the health care industry and move this country to Medicare for all? Now, what the scientists tell us, you all know this, is that when Donald Trump tells us that climate change is a hoax, Donald Trump does not know what he's talking about. What the scientists tell us, unlike Donald Trump, is that not only is climate change real, but if we do not get our act together in the next 12 years, there will be irreparable damage done to our country and the entire world. And that is why together we will stand up to the fossil fuel industry. Together we will tell the oil companies and the coal companies and the gas companies that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. Together we understand that we have a moral responsibility to leave this country and this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable for our children and our grandchildren. Together we are going to pass comprehensive immigration reform, not demonize immigrants. Together we are going to pass real criminal justice reform and not have more people in jail than any other country. So what this campaign is about, and why I am confident that we're going to win here in Iowa and New Hampshire and Nevada and South Carolina and in California, is the working class of this country is sick and tired of being devastated. Sick and tired of having to work longer hours for lower wages. Sick and tired of worrying that their kids will have a lower standard of living than they do. We're going to win this campaign because the women of this country understand that it is not politicians who should control a woman's body, but the women themselves. We're going to win this election because the American people understand that it is immoral and bad economics that we have 3 people in this country who own more wealth than the bottom half of the American people. That it is wrong that the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 92%. So, brothers and sisters, we have 2 tasks in front of us. First, we have to defeat Donald Trump, and we have to bring our country back together again as one people. And second of all, what we have got to do is to tell Wall Street and to tell the insurance companies and the drug companies and the fossil fuel industry and the military industrial complex and the prison industrial complex that they cannot have it all, that our economy and our government belong to all of us, not just the 1%. So, brothers and sisters, this is an unprecedented and monumental moment in American history. And we do not have the luxury of becoming depressed, the luxury of throwing up our hands in despair. This is the moment that history will judge us by. This is the moment we stand up to racism and divisiveness. This is the moment we bring our people together and we create an economy and a government not dominated by the billionaires, but an economy and a government that works for all of us. Thank you all very much.